Hi everyone, it's Dash of Dave here again. I'm back for another crafty video. Today we are going to do something messy. So I'm prepared. I have my apron on. I don't know if you can see my apron. It's my apron from when I used to do it says my name on it and it says the company that I used to work for. I used to do demonstrations, TV demonstrations stuff, like art crafty things. So it's from those days, but it's perfect because it's nice and covers up everything. And we're going to make some of these things. So this is where we make glassine from napkins. So these are two different styles here. This is one using Mod Podge with some vintage photo ink in it. That's this one. So this is a watered down Mod Podge using vintage photo, and this one isn't. So this is just using it just plain white. So we've got both styles, and then this one is kind of a layered, using the backs of the tissue paper and layering and kind of pulling it up at the sides. Anyway, I'm going to make kind of both of those. I've got some tissue here. And before I sit down, I will just kind of go through this. So your napkins, for those of you that aren't familiar with this technique, done this a few times now, but you've not watched me do it or you've not seen anybody else do it, what you need to do is you need to separate the ply first. So really hard to do like this. So the best thing to do, get yourself some sticky tape and get a bit off, and then stick that to the back, okay, and just peel it like that, and it'll come apart. Peel that bit off. Now keep that bit because that will help you make the other bit that we're going to do, the different style one. Keep some of that over there, and then remember where's my sellotape gone? There. And remember it's usually 3-ply tissue paper, so you just need to do the same again. If you have to kind of just tear it, that's fine. You're only tearing the corner anyway. But if you just hold on to the front, pull it, you'll see that it comes apart like that. So opening it out. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to sit down now and I'll get some of this prepared. So these ones that are kind of very separate flowers are the ones that are perfect for making those individual ones. These ones where they've got multiples squished together, not so easy to do individual flowers, but great for doing just faux, when you're making your faux vellum, basically. So glassine, sorry, not vellum. It's not thick enough to be vellum, so let's get some of these out, and then now it's best if you once you've taken out what you're going to use, you put them somewhere where they're not going to get covered in glue. Otherwise you're just going to end up with a whole soggy mess. Let's just do all this. Okay, so now we've got all of that torn off, and that is great. So now what we want to do is, if you want to do the whole thing, that's absolutely fine. If you don't, I'm going to do I'm going to tear it in half. I do have a water brush somewhere there. Has it got any water in? It has, good. I'm just going to do a bit of, so this is a is it coming out here? It's really hard when you do it on this paper because you can't see it because it's non-stick. So just tear that now. It's much easier to tear when you've watered it. Tear that bit down. This one, I'm just going to tear it down in like a shape. I think I'm going to kind of follow this line here, round there, up to that white flower, down, around here, down to there. So should just be able to tear that out now. If you don't have a water brush, you just need to use the tip of a paintbrush. That should be fine. Okay, I'll put that to one side. I might come back to some more of that. This one I'm going to have the image out of there. And I prefer a wonky line because a wonky line is much harder to see than a straight line. Eye is automatically drawn to a straight line, whereas a wonky line you don't see as easily. So I'll just start with a wonky line. Don't know which pieces I'm going to use for what at the minute. And then this I'm going to take some elements out of. I'll take that out of there. Like that. Take this one out. Might include the butterfly this time. Thing is, if you want to do it in little bits like this, it's probably better, because otherwise by the time you get round to the other side your water's dried up, because you're not putting loads on it. Definitely don't put loads on it. So these are great for if you're just putting them in little Glassine windows, or you want to just add a funky element to your craft, or whatever your little heart desires. You can use it for whatever you like. But I'm getting ready for some upcoming projects. I've also been making a file foldery, lapbooky, field journally, hoojimy. I think if you've seen a previous video, you'll have seen me start that. I've already filmed episode 2, but I'm doing this out of sequence, so you'll see this before you see episode 2 of it, just to break it up. Otherwise people get a bit bored of seeing the start of something and then have to watch the next one. They want to move on to something else, because that's how people are these days. They don't have the attention span of a goldfish. So right, okay, so now we're going to just think about suitability. So what do we want to do? So let me show you the method of the layering thing first. So I'm going to use one of these. I will use some of the Mod Podge. Now, this, you can buy this kind of thing with a stain already in it, okay? But, can't open the lid of this, okay? But this is just made with actual Mod Podge, some watered down. It depends on what you're doing with your watered down Mod Podge, but I tend to go for, so it's either 50-50, which is a bit too thin for this kind of thing. I usually go for more of a 70-30, so 70% Mod Podge, 30% water. I find better for this kind of thing. Okay, so this one hasn't been open for a long time, so you can tell it's a bit gunked up inside, but you know, it'll do the job. And we're just gonna see if I can get that peeled off. No, it's not going to come off, so we'll just leave it as it is. It doesn't matter, it's all in there. So what we need to do is, first of all, we want to get some white, some of the white napkin. Okay, we're going to tear this up. You want to tear it so you don't really have any straight edges, although you're not really going to notice it in a minute once you've done this, but you just want to tear some up so you've got it ready. The reason I like to say that tear the edge off is they tend to have like an embossed, crimped pattern to it, which kind of shows through. If you want that, that's absolutely fine. You can absolutely do that, but if you don't, then tear all the edges off, and then you won't get that pattern coming through. So I'm just going to get some of this torn out, sorry. And you'll find that tearing napkins anyway, like hopefully you've all got the strength to tear a napkin, because like I'm a bit worried about it if you haven't. Crafting shouldn't be for you. You'll find that it tears really difficult one way, like this, not really very well, and then the other way it tears perfectly fine, and that's because that's the grain of the paper. It depends on, so if it tears easily, you're going with the grain. If it tears more difficult, it's going against the grain of the paper. So I'm just going to tear this down a bit more, and you're just going to create some layers. So what we're going to do is we're going to start somewhere on the area. Okay, so I'm going to start over here. Just going to do a quick camera check and make sure that you can see where my hand is. Yes, you can. That is fine. So we're going to do this bit here. I'm going to move my tea out the way, because tea and napkins, they don't mix either. So what we're going to do, I'm going to use some of the stained Mod Podge. It's a bit of a stretch to get it in that space, and we're just going to put a bit of this down on the surface. Now you'll find it pulls, it won't, because it's non-stick paper. You'll find it will pull even if you're doing it on, you know, cereal packet or whatever. So we're going to put a bit down like that, and then we're going to layer some of this on it. So don't worry about it not getting right to the edge. So you've got layers where it's kind of overlapping. You put a little bit of this on. Don't drag your paintbrush across it, because what you'll find is it won't. It'll tear it all. Okay. You just want to keep going in, and anything where you're going to overlap. So you want it to overlap because you're creating a lamination. So you want it to overlap in parts. If you don't put glue under, you can put it over the top and it'll just seep through anyway. And then you just want to go round, and you're baking. You're not baking anything. You're basically making a layer all the way round. You don't want it to be too thick either. And you'll find that you might have left a hole in the middle. That's absolutely fine. We can come back to that in a minute. We'll put a little blob of this on the middle. So put that on, and then just paint some more of this on. So you just be very careful. Remember, this is tissue paper. It will rip if it gets too soggily wet. That's why I like a less wet mix of Mod Podge. Now I've tried lots of different ways. I've done it in different ways myself. I've used more water in the thing. There really is no hard and fast. Now if you are in a hot country, okay, or you have a lot of air conditioning, I'd suggest you turn your air conditioning off, because if you're working with tissues, it's going to blow everything all away. But if you're in a hot country and whatever you're doing, whatever you'd make dries really quickly, then you might want to use more water in this. So that's why there's no real hard and fast rules to this. And then what we're going to do is going to find one of our images. We're going to use, is it this one we're going to use? And then we're going to layer that over the top. I might just tear it down a little bit more, so there's not a huge amount of white sticking out. Bottom bit here. So all I'm doing is holding where I don't want it to tear, and pulling the rest away. Okay, and then I'm going to put this on here, and I'm just going to paste that down. So I'm going to go from the middle to the outside, and you're going to get, it'll wrinkle, but it's fine. It all adds to the beauty of it. Now if you don't want it to wrinkle, then the other way is going to be easier for you, which is the other one I'm going to do. Oh, there you go. So I've folded it over, but be very gentle and you can get it back. I'm just going to paste that on there. So, right, now that's there. One thing you need to be careful of is you don't lean in it, because that's in an awkward place for me. So before you do anything now, what you want to do is you just want to push this back on the edge of your image, and you'll create this kind of like edge. Now if you don't do this now, you'll find it really hard to peel it up, and also what you're doing is you're creating this kind of like organic frame. So you're just hoofing up that hoofing up. I don't actually know whether that's actual it's a new one, it's our term, all right? So like, it's what we call it. We're gonna hoof it up, and if anybody questions, you just say, oh, that's what Dave said it was. And then hopefully you'll get it before it dries, because it is starting to dry out. I mean, like, it's not terribly warm in the UK either, but it's already starting to dry. So I'm just going to wet my brush a bit, kind of get that bit wetter again, and then just see what I'm doing. I'm just creating like a wrinkled edge, and that will make it easier for you to peel up, and also you're kind of framing it. You're giving it that kind of a, I don't know, a look. You're giving it a look, a style makeover. So you just want to decide how close into the image you want to go. I don't want to leave too much of a white border on this. Kind of trying to follow the organic shape of the image. A bit more down here. Over here, I mean. There we go. So that's it, and what you need to do is you now need to leave it to dry. Now I need to leave it to dry, but also not put my arm in that bit, which is going to be a bit of a challenge for me, because you know what I'm like. So the other way to do it, so I'm just going to clean my brush, because we're going to do one in just the normal Mod Podge this time. It might not be completely clean though. We are just going to clean it off a little bit, and then we're going to put some of this Mod Podge down. So let's move those out of the way, and we're going to put that up here. So we're going to paste this down roughly the right shape. You can always put a bit more down in a minute. You go a little bit further over the area, it's not a problem. And then we're going to put that down. So and you're going to use your dry finger, or you can use a dry brush just to push that down into. So if you're using a dry brush, just remember not to drag it right over the edge and get it wet. Okay. And then if you've got any bits that are still a bit dry on the edges, you can just go around the edge and just tap it all down. Oh, so we move your other things out of the way so you don't get them all covered in Mod Podge. And that's it. So that's another one. So that's a different technique. Okay, which one's that's the dry brush, Dave. Don't get that wrong. Don't go breaking my heart. I couldn't if I tried. So we're going to do a similar thing with the other one this time. Open this. So yeah, what I was saying about this is you can buy this kind of stuff, and it tends to be very expensive, and all it is it'll have some kind of stain in it. Now this is just Mod Podge watered down with a refill of you know that when you're re-inking your re-inkers, no, when you're using a re-inker to do your to re-ink your ink pads. That's what I'm trying to say, Dave. When you're re-inking your ink pads, that's basically all I've done is I've put some re-inker in here, so I've got the right colour. Now, you have to do a bit of trial and error on that, because it might not look dark enough for you, and then when it dries, it's too dark. So, just bear that in mind, that it might not be dark enough. You might want to do a test of it, put it down on something, and see if you need to add more colour to it. Or you can just be one of those people that goes out and buys it already made. But I promise you, it's so cheap and easy to make. So that's the one using the stained one. Let's do some more of those. I'm going to use some space up. So that one, these ones don't have the frame around them. These are just going down onto the thing. Now this one I'm going to just, as though I'm decoupaging, just put a little bit over the top, because I like the wrinkliness that you get from this. Now, I know that some people don't, but I also find that it kind of laminates it better and it stays together better. Right, I'm going to put some of this down, and it's the wetness of the glue. So if you use just Mod Podge, you don't tend to get such a glassine finish, because it's the moisture in the water in the Mod Podge that makes it transparent. You know, when you get a bit of napkin wet, that's what you're kind of working on, the principle of get it wet, and it, oh, I see there's a bit of, that's a bit of that edge that I tried to peel off. I love peeling off these types of glue, although I find Mod Podge it kind of dries like solid, like glass. So it's a quiet activity, I'll just say. So, because I'm trying to concentrate, I do feel like I need to take all of that stuff off from around there, because it's finding it hard to get my brush into there. I'm going to have a few more layers on this one, and we'll have a look at what happens. Hopefully I will remember to edit this, and then I will cut to a finished result, but you know, there are no guarantees in this life. So let's tear that bit off there, because that's gone a bit silly. Silly sticky out bit at the top. Don't want that straight line, because remember, your eye is drawn to straight lines, so floof off that edge. Don't have too dry a brush, because you'll just tear it. And just dab it all down and get messy. Well, hopefully you don't get too messy, because it's all gone wrong if you get too messy. What have we got? Need some more. Need some more at that top bit there, maybe there, like that. Might be too much of a straight edge for me. Just scrunch it up rather than tear it off. It's too late to tear it off. I stuck it down. So you can do this with, and just make plain, obviously, glassine. If you are making plain glassine, I tend to find that using, like in my previous videos, using sewing pattern material is better. You're going to do that. Put this one on there, I think. Oh no, will that blend in? That might blend in too much, because it's the same colour. We'll go for this one, and we'll put a frame around it. So that's right on the edge, so it's got a straight line, so I'm just going to get rid of that straight line. Put that on there. And just going to squish it out. I'm going to put this on and do one of these, sorry. And I'm going to do this as a freeze, so it's just going to be one big piece across there, I think, like that. Yep. So we're just going to, I'm going to do that in a transparent one. So I've just washed my brush a bit. So like I say, it's not going to be perfectly without any kind of stain, because I haven't completely washed my brush. I've just rinsed it in a bit of water I've got to one side. Also, if you leave it without too much of a mix to it, if you just leave it as Mod Podge, you'll tend to find that it goes quite hard. It's not quite as pliable when it dries. So don't know whether that's big enough. So pull it taut, don't pull it too taut, otherwise you'll tear it. And kind of just put the tautiness, once you've got one bit down, pull it taut from that area, and then you won't get quite so many wrinkles in it. If you don't mind the wrinkles, then don't worry about that. Then don't listen to me. And you're going to have to peel this off. So when it comes to the, oh, it's going to move me tea, I might as well have some while I'm moving it. When it comes to peeling it off, you'll find the ones with the pulled up edges much easier to peel off than these. You just want to take your time when you are peeling it off. It will come off, but you just need to be patient. Oh dear. Have we met? Me, patient. Why not? That doesn't happen. So like I say, just then use your brush, and what you want, all you're trying to do is make sure that your napkin makes contact with the glue in the background. Now you might get white spots where it's not made contact, and that's because, you know, when we paint the glue on to this, when you leave it, it will separate and form pools. That's fine, you know, it happens, and it's not a big issue. But I do try to go over the edges a little bit, and that way then it's less likely to rip. So like where you've kind of put it down, if you just go over the edges, the top edge, and pull away, then you'll find it's less likely to tear. If you just try and peel it off, I'm just warning you, it can be inclined to tear a little. But if you just do that around the edge, you're kind of forming a double laminate border, and it's a bit stronger. And that's the way it is, and it's like that. That's the way it is. Oh no, sorry, I was thinking about my youth, and there used to be a song that went like that. I don't know whether anybody knows what I'm talking about. Well, full stop. Don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about. Leave that there. Ever? Does anybody ever know what I'm talking about? No. So this time, let's do. So this is the second layer of that really stained one. And this has got like its own kind of an image still on it. It's got a bit of a shadow of an image. I'm going to put that down, but we're going to put a different image over the top. I might put a few layers of that if I've got some more of that. I have here. I don't know whether you can see what I mean by that. Is that the one? Yeah. So it's got like it's like the image has, the ink has seeped through it. No, it's definitely not got enough Mod Podge on there now. Too dry. you are going to go over this layer again, you don't want to be dragging your paintbrush over it, otherwise it'll just tear it. So you just dab. Okay, so I've done that. Let's see. That's a bit more of that. So you just, for these ones, these are a bit more robust because you're building a laminate layer on it. So you're laminating it with all of these layers. Whereas these are just single with a bit of glue, and therefore they can be a bit more fragile. So just bear that in mind. Like, you know, don't get too upset about it. If they kind of get broken up, they get broken up. It's fine. Let me just. I've lost all my torn out images now. Let's see where they all are. Are they over there? No, they're not. Where are they? Might have to tear some more out. Not there. Not there. Not there. Not there, not there. Maybe that was it then. Maybe that was the extent of what I'd torn out. I thought it was more, but I'll get rid of that. Let's get some more then. I need some more of these, is what I was thinking. Oh, not that. So, if you don't have a water brush, you can just tear it with your fingers. You just need to make sure that you hold either side of the bit that you're tearing, because remember, it will tear the way the grain is. You could end up tearing a bit off that you were hoping to keep. You just want to, don't try and just tear it all in one go. It doesn't tear like paper. It's a lot more fragile. You just want a thumb either side of the bit you want to tear off, and then pull it apart, and you're then going to stop it from tearing on the bit that you didn't want it to tear on, in theory. And then just going to tear off that bottom edge so that it's not a straight line, and we're going to pop that on there. Now, if you're going to smooth it out with your fingers, you want to make sure that your fingers are absolutely bone dry. Otherwise, you'll have some resistance on your finger and it'll tear it. You also want to make sure that they're clean, because otherwise, you know, that's going to look manky if you've just smudge something across the surface of it. So I'm going to do that one like that with no scrunched up edge. Oh, I do have some. They're here. I knew I hadn't used them all. I knew it. I just knew it. Damn it, I knew it. So what you can do is, we've got space here, we have, so you can put a layer down. Let's use some of, don't contaminate them, Dave. So put some of this down first, and we can put this one down. So you can do it the other way and laminate it the other way. Just want to get rid of that straight edge. Now if you're really gentle, you can just pull away any bits that where it's got like a straight edge or a folded bit over, where it's folded over, and you can laminate it so that it's, you put a bit of glue over there, and then you put a bit of the white tissue paper, or you could even go for, let's go for this, let's do this. This is an experiment where I'm just going to experiment in front of you. I don't know what it's going to turn out like. I was going to put just a plain layer over it, so that you have just a plain layer. So it kind of like softens the image, but we're going to use this. Now I don't know whether I can get all of that in there. Shall I? try. Want to be able to get all of that on there without it getting too close to the others. Or shall I try? Let's take some of that leaf out. Let's do that. And put that over the top. And then you put another dabbing of, we'll just go for the clear, for the plain, I mean. Put a dabbing of that over the top so you can laminate it that way. And just have a play, you know. Don't, we've all, if you're anything like me, you'll have bought a load more napkins than you will ever use in your life. Just don't be afraid to give things a try, and then, you know, if it doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to, then just do it again. Or, you know, live and learn from it, and say, well, you know, I liked the idea but it didn't work out. But don't be afraid of playing. The only way to find out how to do anything is to play. So, you know, that's why we teach kids to play, because it helps them to have the confidence to deal with the things that don't go right in life and try again. Right, I'm running out of space now. I want to get that in there. Yes. Let's put that in there then. So when this is all dry, I won't peel it off the sheet until you're back with me. So I'll turn the camera back on and we'll do it then. We'll do it together so you can see what happens and what to expect and what to do if things go wrong, because they will. You know, just because I've done it before doesn't mean to say it won't go horribly wrong. Or horribly right. So let's have a, don't want to soften that image down with anything. Have we got anything to layer that one up with? Not really. It's got a bee and a butterfly maybe over the top of it. Let's tear that line drawn flower out, or most of it. Just make sure that bottom edge isn't straight, and then not too much white around the edge, and then layer that maybe over the bottom part of that flower and just tamp that on. Cool. And we could make some more layer, put another layer on this one, maybe. Have a different layer. B layer. An A layer and a B layer. No, this is just a B layer. Let's put a bee and a butterfly, a bee and a dragonfly. Do they go together? I don't know if they live together. Do they live in harmony? Side by side on the piano keyboard. Bit of space up there. We've got a bit of space there as well. Let's use all the space up, and then we'll go from there. I nearly dipped that in my tea. My brain went, no. Oh, that's too straight. And there's so many different applications you can use this for. You can just use them on their own, like the ones with the little frame round them. These ones, they're great just on their own, because they're not that, they stop being really delicate. And I think I might layer that on top, that image on there. See what it looks like. Oh, fingers a bit gluey now, so they're not tearing very well. Also not helped by holding a wet brush. I'll just layer that over the top of there, I think. Yeah. So, if you're going to go in and put another layer on, you do need to make sure that you put glue over the top of it, but you also need to make sure your brush is not wringing wet. No drippy wetness to it. Much harder to brush on when your arm is so far away. When the thing's so far away and you're doing it the wrong way towards the edge of the camera. I've got lots of things down this side that are all getting in the way. So, anything else? Paste it over the top. So now what we need to do is we need to leave it to dry. So obviously I'm not going to come with me while we spend 4 hours watching glue dry in the new series, Watching Glue Dry. No, I'm not going to make you watch it dry. That would be a really terrible. It's like, and the sequel is Watching Paint Dry. So I'm not going to make you watch it dry. I am going to leave it be, let it do its thing, and then come back to it and film the rest of it when it's dry, and then we can see what the results are and see if you like it, and if you don't, then don't do it, and if you do like it, then do it. So this one didn't, like I said, didn't glue it all the way down so that it didn't join up with the rest of these. So when you're doing it, you might want to plan your area out better. You can leave it like this. You can hang it up if you need to. You could then, now it's all kind of stuck down, you could peel it up and take it outside and dry in the sunshine, but there is not enough sunshine. There's more wind than there is sunshine in the UK at the moment, so that's not happening for me today. So I'm just going to leave it as it is, and I will come back. There's a few bits I've noticed that might just need a bit more of a tamping down. I'm just going to use some clear on it though, just because it might not do a good job otherwise. Just tamp that bit down there. So if you see any bits that are kind of sticking up, you might want to go back in. If it's already starting to dry and you want to put another layer on, then you can. But obviously it's much better if you leave it to dry first. So I'm just going to go over the top of this one because I want this one to be more laminated and therefore a bit more transparent. The more glue there is on it, the more, well, not the more, there's only a certain level of transparency you get. But if you go for just the single doing it in the background, it'll be transparent but not as transparent as doing it on both sides, because what you're basically doing is the bits where it's missed because of the pockets of air, you're going over the top of it and catching those bits as well. So, but I'm just going to put that on, and then we're going to leave it to dry now. Stop playing with it, Dave, and then I will see you all very soon. Well, in your world it will be the shake of a lamb's tail. In my world it will be, I don't know, a couple of hours. So anyway, I shall see you all in a couple of hours. Well, for you, in a couple of seconds. Right, I'm back now. I've left it for just over 2 hours. Let's just have a look. Well, I watched it died, so yeah, about 2 hours 15 minutes, something like that. I think they're dry. I have peeled one off just to make sure that they peel off, as in they're dry enough. I'm not sure about these ones, the thicker ones, but we'll see. So anyway, this is the one that I've peeled off. So as you can see, it's gone nice and translucent now. So what we're going to do is we're just going to peel the rest of them off. Now I've just realised I might have stuck might have done that over the sticky tape. So let's just see, get the sticky tape out of the way. otherwise we're going to end up with a bit of a mess. So yeah, I think I stuck that to the edge of the sticky tape, but that's fine. I can use the sticky tape to be the thing to help me peel it off. Now you have to be very gentle when you're peeling them off, because a bit of heavy-handedness and you can tear it all. I don't know how well it's going to peel off the sellotape is the only thing I'm concerned about on this one. You want to make sure that you've got a fluffy edge, that it doesn't tear down the wrong bit. So you want to make sure that you get all of it and peel it off. I've got the sellotape stuck to my elbow now. Get off me! So I've got those two stuck together. Just going to tear that down with my nail. Okay, I'll tear this bit off. Oh well, there we go. So that's that one. Let's see if we can get that off the sellotape now. The sellotape's torn. Oh no, I think it's peeled off the sellotape. Is it? No, that bit hasn't. Right, it might have to stay stuck to the sellotape because I don't think I can get it to come off without ripping the whole thing. Yeah, no, it's going to rip the whole thing. So that one's just going to have to stay stuck to the sellotape. So that's that one. Okay, so it's got the sellotape there, so it's a bit sticky. They aren't sticky otherwise. So then we're going to peel these off. So before you start tearing it, you want to make sure you catch all of that edge. You know, just like when you find the end of the sellotape, the sticky tape or scotch tape or whatever you want to call it, whatever you call it in your part of the world, you want to make sure that you get the whole thing before you start tearing. Otherwise, you tear it in half rather than like in a nice piece. Right, so this piece is very stuck to here. That's because that bit's there. So like I say, just be careful tearing it. If you tear it and it's not the image, there's not a big problem. If you tear the image, then you know, that's just make it look old. Tear all of that up. Now if you've got it on, if you use like the non-stick, or if you use wax paper, it'll peel up much easier than this, but you know, this works fine. So there you go, that's the one that's just the white one. And remember, that's the one where we only did it on one side, we didn't do it on both sides. So it does have like a white smattering, and that's where it's not quite got enough glue soaked up into it. Let's do, oh, that's that one. I've done that one. Don't try and peel that one up there because that's already been peeled. Let's do one of these down here. Let's do this one, which is one of the more vintage ones. So once you've got the end, you can start peeling. If you start to feel like it's tearing, it probably is, so you just need to go back to it and just make sure you've got all of the bits. Like peeling a label off a new purchase. You know, if you let it tear, then it'll make it really hard to get all the rest of it. But if you catch it all in the first go, it usually comes off. No, obviously I don't stick labels on things, so I don't know whether that's true of everywhere. So there you go, so you can see it's translucent. So that's that. So they feel like tissue paper on the front, and on the back it's very smooth, and that's because it's on a flat surface. If you do it on an oven liner that's got a porous surface, it will pick up that texture as well. So let's do this one. So this should be well, a bit easier because it's got a border around it. I'm not sure that this one's completely dry though yet. Oh no, it looks like it might be coming off. Yep, it is. Slightly damp on the back. Just damp though, not wet. There we go, that's that one. And again, it's that translucent finish. They look like, you know, they're, I don't know, like somebody's scrapbooked from hundreds of years ago. That's what I think anyway. They look old is what I'm saying, especially because you use the vintage, if you use a vintage photo finish. Yeah, that one's very wet around. You can see it's wet on the back. You can see where it's not quite transparent, and that's because it's still wet. I'm going to just leave that to one side to finish drying. The single layer ones should be fine though to peel. Okay then, so this is how they've ended up. I don't think even a white background is the right thing, because you can't really tell. Well, you can, because you can see how you can see the background of the black. So that's how they've turned out. So this is the big one, and that's just on one side. It's gone nice and translucent now. It's still quite thin because we only did it on one side. So that's that one. This one is the one where I did it both sides. Now, I did get a bit of a rippage on this here, but it's not a big problem. And that's the... It's really hard for me to show you how transparent it is. Maybe I need something colourful in the background. Let's put that in the background and you should be able to see that through. There you go, you can see that. So it goes really nicely translucent, but without being just transparent. So without it being like printed on plastic. So there you go. So really nice the way that it ends up. And you know, you can stick these on. It's like making your own like stickers. You just add some glue to the background. So this is the one that's still wet, but it's still gone translucent. There's bits on it that need to just dry out a bit. Okay, just going to give you a quick demonstration. And you can obviously make like, you can swap out the windows in envelopes. So if you've got like the Windows style envelope, let me see if I can just pull one out for you. Let's use one of these. So you can swap out this with some of this now, or you can just stick it over the top or whatever you want to do, but it just adds just a little bit something different to the windows on envelopes, or you can use it, you know, on slides and that sort of thing. So that's the one where we layered it up with some of the more colourful intermediate tissue. There you go, that's that one. And I think you kind of get the idea of how it turns out. So this is the one that we layered. So you do get a few holes in it and that sort of thing, but that's all part of the fun. There we go. This is that one that's like very vintage looking. There we go. So it's something, I hope you give it a go anyway, even if you just have a play and say, well, you know what, that's not for me. So this one got ripped. Well, it's because I wasn't paying attention and I've just ripped it. It was the one that was stuck to the edge of this one. And I want, in order to save the big long one, this long one here, I sacrificed this one, to be fair. So it's still transparent though. Oh, there you go. And then this is the one with a bit of sticky tape on the end, so I just need to be careful. So there you go. So that's it. So I hope you like those. That's something that you should definitely try, even if you do once. And there you go. That's it. That's it from me. So if you have liked this, obviously you know what to do. This is what these are. These are to say, yeah, I like that. So please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe if you aren't already, and comment if you so wish. I'm catching up on comments. I'm about 2 weeks behind. I'm really sorry. Busy times. I'm off annual leave for the next week, so I might have a bit more time to do that. So anyway, take care of yourself, folks, and I will see you all in the next video. Thanks very much for watching. My name's Dash of Dave, and I love you all without exception, until you give me a reason not to. So don't give me a reason not to, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye. Lots of love. Lots of hugs. See you soon. Bye.